So, you're welcome to today's lecture. Yesterday, we had a good time discussing the first step in using ICT in legislative draft. So, before you even begin to draft, the first thing you need to do is legal research. Because when you are presented with an instruction, technically, we call it drafting instruction. The client comes to you, whether you're drafting private member bill or government bill. A client, somebody has to instruct you, and those are called drafting instructions. So when they instruct you, the question you need to ask yourself is, first of all, do we even need a new bill, or can we achieve the objectives by amendment of an existing law? Or is it something we could achieve by just education, enlightenment? So it is not every time someone comes to you that you draft a bill. No. Not a bill. Legislation does not solve all the problem in the world. There are other things within the government toolkit. So how do you know the solution you have to propose to your client? That is a process where you need to do legal research. Now, the question is, how do you carry on legal research using ICT? Not the traditional legal research where you use books on your shelf. Oscar, please share with us there are 8 points, 8 things you have to look out for when you are doing legal research on the internet or using ICT. Today's topic is technological innovations in legislative drafting. However, we want to summarize yesterday's discussion before we continue today's discussion. So today's discussion is technological innovations in legislative drafting. But yesterday was use of ICT for legal research, because legal research is the first step before you go into legislative drafting. So when you receive drafting instructions, the next thing you have to do is analyze them. And that is what is legal research. Now, you can't just go on the internet and pick anything you like. The internet is a good place, it's also a bad place, depending on how you use it. So you must know the skills on how to extract information from the internet. Today we are going to share with you, we did it yesterday, we'll repeat it today. There are 8 criteria you need to look at when you are, all right. Okay, so there are 8 criteria to use when you are searching for anything online, on the internet. If you're doing legal research on the internet, number 1, authority. What is authority? Yesterday we discussed this. Can anybody, let's go over it. Can you unmute your mic or raise your hand and you can comment. Hello, anyone? What is authority? When we say authority on the internet, what do we mean? Yes, Joyce Motsiki.
Yes, Prof. We said authority is a legal right to post material online.
Super. The person, the institution that has the legal right to post. Well done. So when you go on the internet, the question you ask yourself is, the website I'm looking at, is it published by the material on the website? Is it published by the authority? So I gave examples. In Nigeria, the authority for our laws is the Attorney General. He's the custodian of the copyrights of the laws of Nigeria. He is also the custodian of all treaties and international agreements entered into by Nigeria. That is by virtue of the 1993 Treaties Making Procedure Act. That's a law that was passed by the National Assembly. The Attorney General of the Federation is named as a custodian. He keeps a register of all treaties of Nigeria. Now, when it comes to judgments of the Supreme Court, if you're checking online, the Chief Justice of Nigeria is a custodian, is the authority for all the judgments of the courts. He can give that authority to a private lawyer to do law reports. So when you go online, you have to look for either the website of the Supreme Court or those lawyers that have the authority from the Chief Justice to publish law reports. The second thing we mentioned was accuracy. What is accuracy? What do we mean by accurate? When you go on the website, how do you know? Look for accuracy. Yes, can anyone volunteer? What is accuracy? Can anyone volunteer? Can raise your hand and comment. Hello? When do we say an information is accurate? Yes? Tebohu.
Yes, Prof. I think we said it should be 100% spot on with regard to the information we are looking for. You make an example of if you are looking for the list of advocates in Lesotho, the information may be provided by the Law Society of Lesotho, and we will get the exact number of the lawyers in Lesotho from that side.
Thank you. Accurate, not 99.9% correct. 100% accurate. You cannot use the list of last year because every year lawyers are added to the list of the legal practitioners in Lesotho. So if you bring the list of last year, you can create confusion. For example, I gave the example. Currently, there's an issue about the Director General of the Directorate of Corruption and Economic Offenses in Lesotho, whether his name is on the roll of legal practitioners or not, because Section 4 of the Prevention of Corruption and Economic Offenses Act 2016 says whoever shall be the director of the DCEO must be a legal practitioner. So if you want to confirm whether his name is on the list, you don't use the list of last year because you don't use the list of 2023 or 2022 because he may have become a legal practitioner in 2023, which is more accurate. So accuracy means 100%, not 99.9% correct. Objectivity, we said the opposite of objective is what? Subjective. So when you're on a website, you need to ask yourself the question, this information on the website, is it objective or subjective? Objective means facts. Subjective means personal opinions. I think that this should be this. But objective means facts as they are, the reality. Okay, so that's objective. When you go to a website, you need to know. I gave the example of the World Bank, the World Health Organization. These are organizations that publish objective data, not subjective. Not subjective. When the World Health Organization declared that corona is a virus, it's a pandemic, they meant it because they had collected information from everywhere and they were sure. And when they announced that there is a vaccine for treatment of COVID, they are also objective. A lot of people died during corona because of subjective information. In Nigeria, they were telling people that if you drink a glass full of salt, you put salt, it will kill coronavirus. People drank it and they died. That's subjective information. It may have worked for another person, but it was not medically proven that this thing can stop. Those are subjective information as opposed to objective. Objective means tried and tested. A vaccine is a medicine that has been tried and tested in the lab. The doctors have tested it on animals and they see that it works before they now release it to the public. That's an objective way of dealing with information, not subjective. Oh, some people will say urine can kill COVID, and they will drink urine and they died. That is subjective. That was their personal opinion. The urine may have worked for them, but the urine cannot work for the next person. So subjective information means it is your personal opinion. It is not a fact. It is not based on tried and tested methods. So that's the meaning of when you're looking online for legal research, you look for objective information. Then the next thing we did yesterday was we said
digital
coverage.
native.
When you are on a website doing your legal research, you must cover. The website must contain information that covers the
Is a
field,
myth.
not just
A
narrow
generation
information.
born
So,
into
for example,
social media
if you're
apps
dealing with
still falls short in real-world professional
information
skills.
about Lesotho, you don't just say, oh, Maseru, there are 500 mines in Lesotho because there are 500 mines in Maseru, the capital. No. What about the 10 districts of Lesotho? How many mines are in each of the districts? For you to get a good picture of the mines in Lesotho, you need to visit the 10 districts to know how many mines are in Lesotho. So that is coverage. Coverage means the information should cover all the necessary parts. When you coverage means the information should cover the entire Lesotho, not just Maseru. You cannot draw conclusions from just looking at Maseru. You want to know how many mines are in Lesotho, and you say, oh, we have 500 mines in Maseru, therefore Lesotho has 500 mines. No. You need to go to the 10 districts and find out how many mines are in them, then add all the numbers. So when you visit a website, the coverage, the information should cover the entire Lesotho, not just Maseru, which is the capital. Now, currency. Currency means the information should be current, the latest information, not 2 years ago, even a month ago. The information is no longer current. So when you're dealing on the website, in the internet, when you're doing your legal research, you need to ask yourself, is this the current information? Is this the current information? Because if you go and cite the old information, you may be citing it wrong. So for example, Lesotho has the Lesotho Legal Information Institute website. That's where you have the Ministry of Justice of Lesotho. They post the current legislation, the current judgments of the courts in Lesotho. So for example, if you have a client, you're doing a labor matter, somebody was unfair dismissal. Do you know that the current Labor Act is the one of 2024? If you don't, you will be citing the Labor Act of 1992, which is not the current Labor Act or labor legislation. So currency is very important. The information you are visiting on the website should be the current information. That's currency. Reliable means it should be trustworthy information, not. And this is because people post things on the internet to suit their own personal agenda. That's why when you visit NGOs, you have to be careful because they post their own agenda. They can take data and narrate data in a way to suit their own narrative without giving you the complete picture. I gave you the example of why you should not trust some of these NGOs, because their narrative is to suit their need for funding. So when they come, they tell you, oh, there's an HIV pandemic in Lesotho. Meanwhile, in their countries too, they have HIV pandemic. But the way they report it in Africa is so that they get more funding to fund their organization. So when they present you with information, you should ask yourself, is it reliable? Can you trust this information? Now, what about organization? Number 7, organized means when you visit a website, you should see that the information, data is presented in an organized format. So I told you, for example, the Lesotho Law Reform Commission, they have done something called the Index of the Laws of Lesotho. Now they have arranged it, organized it in an organized manner. There's all the laws of Lesotho in alphabetical order. Then there's another section where they have laws of Lesotho in chronological order. Chronological means from 1800, 1801, 1802, chronological by dates. Then they also have subject matter arrangement of the laws. Then they have, which one again? I think, is it historical? So it's organized. Whenever you want to check on something, you know which of them. Do you want alphabetical? Do you want historical? Do you want chronological? Do you want subject matter? You click. So when you're doing legal research on the internet using ICT, you need to be organized. You need to know that the information you're taking is organized. Then finally, we said security. Security means you should visit websites that are secure. And the simple way to know whether a website is secure is to check the web link, the address. If the internet address has HTTPS, that means it's secure. But if there's no S after the HTTP, then you should be careful, because if you visit such websites that are not secure, your information can be extracted and used to steal from you. So this is a summary of using the internet, ICT, for legislative drafting. The first part of drafting, which is legal research. Today we want to focus on the innovations in drafting. On Thursday we will hear from a lecturer from Brazil. They are so innovative, they have invented something called a software called Whispers. Whispers is used by the Parliament of Brazil. Whenever there is debate, Whisper translates the words into written format and then posts it on the website of the Parliament of Brazil as Hansard. Hansard is a document that contains the debates on the floor of the parliament every day. So they don't have secretaries who write in Brazil. When they are having these discussions in their parliament, the software called Whispers will pick up the words, convert it into written format and post it. So for day one, they have the record, the Hansard. Hansard is a document that contains verbatim reports of the debates in the parliament. Because why they keep those records is in case there's a court case, there's a debate about what was said in parliament, you have a document where you can consult. So that's one of the innovations in legislative drafting. Now, there are so many innovations. I posted all these materials. There's even, we in Nigeria, we did something called Legiscriptor. Legiscriptor is a software that helps you, gives you a template for drafting. So if you want to draft a bill, you don't need to start from the scratch. You have a template, you edit it to suit the bill you are drafting. That template has the 4 parts of every bill: preliminary provisions, principal provisions, miscellaneous, and final provisions. So anytime you're called upon to draft a bill, instead of starting from scratch, Legiscriptor gives you a format, a template. You now adjust it, edit it to suit what you're drafting. In every jurisdiction, they have their own software. We visited the US Congress, the Office of Legislative Counsel. We also saw that they have their own individual software for drafting. We visited India, also has their own. So even the European Parliament, we visited the European Parliament in 2015. They have a simplified software, so good that you don't have to be a lawyer to draft. It's there on the screen. Whatever you want, you tell the computer, it will give you a bill. And now we have Chat GPT. If you are familiar with technology, Chat GPT is a generative artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence means when computers start behaving as if they have an intelligence of their own. However, it is not their own intelligence. Informations are pre-programmed into the computer. For example, how to draft a bill can be installed on the computer, has to be there first. Now you tell the computer, I want you to draft a bill on financial legislation, on tax. So because the computer is already programmed with that information, it will produce a draft bill for you. So these are tools that people are now using. These are tools that people are using in drafting. This Chat GPT. However, with every technology, there's also the bad side. So you need to ask yourself, the computer, you need to realize that the computer does not know the difference between the law, the legal system of Lesotho and the legal system of Nigeria. So if you have programmed the computer with the legal system of Nigeria, when it is producing a draft law for you, it will give you with the format of Nigeria, even though you are in Lesotho, and that may not suit the Lesotho law system. For example, when I came to Lesotho, I noticed that they have, instead of having a separate application clause, in every law there is an application clause. Application clause means this law shall apply to the whole of Lesotho. Or in Nigeria, we say this law shall apply only to the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. So that's the difference between Nigeria and Lesotho. Laws in Nigeria, we always write this law shall apply to either the Federal Capital Territory or the entire Nigeria. We have a separate section for that. But in Lesotho, I see that it's fused with your commencement dates. You write, this law shall commence on 20th of January 2020. Then you also write, it shall apply to the Lesotho. I saw it in your laws. So that's the format. So the problem with computer, telling computer to write laws for you is, if the computer was programmed in Nigeria, it will produce a law with the format of Nigeria and not Lesotho. So even if you're using computer for drafting, you need to also edit that part. You can't just take everything the computer gives you. That is where you need to do your own editing. And another problem is issues of copyright. Most computers are programmed with documents that have been written by people, and then it's stored in the computer. So if you ask the computer and it generates such documents for you, you can be sued for copyright infringement because you're using someone's idea without acknowledging the person. These are the limitations of the ICT, AI, using AI in legislative drafting. But this AI also presents an opportunity for you as a drafter, because AI is not innovative. It cannot think outside the box. It is only what it has stored in the computer it gives you back. But you as a lawyer, that's why if you become an expert, if you know legislative drafting very well, you are better than the computer. And that's why any lawyer who knows his expertise very well, you can never be put out of business by these computer softwares that draft bills. Because some bills that they draft are ridiculous. They will be referring to laws of another country. But you as an expert, you know that it does not apply in Lesotho. So today we are just introducing you to these innovations in legislative drafting. These are innovations. You cannot run from them. They are there. But you must know how to use them to improve your drafting. So I have posted a lot of material. Some of them are videos. You can watch the videos. You can see how AI technology is used in legislative drafting. In the US, there's example in the US, there's example from Italy, Nigeria is also there. So many countries have posted all these materials. Find time to watch them. Don't just say, oh, I can. Find time to watch them. Listen to them. Because before we built our own legislative drafting software in Nigeria, we had time to interact with other countries. We traveled to the US Office of Legislative Counsel. We traveled to the UK because they have their own specialized tool for legislative drafting. We traveled to European Parliament, European Union Parliament. So by the time we looked at all what they were doing, we did our own indigenous software to suit our system, because you cannot use the one of European Union Parliament. It may be too sophisticated for us. We could not use the one of US. So we had to sit with computer experts as lawyers, and we came up with our own design. So this is something you can do for yourself. You can customize the software you see, even if it's a free software. You can get a computer expert to customize it to suit the Lesotho drafting system, because the format of laws in Lesotho is different from the format of laws in Nigeria. So you have to customize these tools to use them. So on that note, we'll be stopping for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much. Esteemed participants, you have heard today's lecture. The floor is open for 5 minutes for questions. If you have questions, kindly indicate by raise of hand, and you'll be given the floor. Any questions, please? I am aware that a few persons are joining us for the first time today, but due to our time constraint, we may not have the opportunity again to have you introduce yourself, but certainly we will do that tomorrow. This is ALDRAP. ALDRAP is Association for Legislative Drafters and Advocacy Practitioners. It is a non-governmental organization whose thematic area is legislative drafting. What ALDRAP does is legislative drafting, either in capacity building or consultancy. So ALDRAP has consulted for the federal government of Nigeria through the National Assembly and the Federal Ministry of Justice as well. ALDRAP has consulted for different states, Ministry of Justices and Ministries of Justice, and also different states legislative houses of assembly. ALDRAP has consulted internationally for the Ministry of Justice of the Gambia as well as that of Rwanda. And currently, ALDRAP is in Lesotho doing the same consultancy business under an EU project. So what we do here is legislative drafting, capacity building for lawyers who are interested in this area of practice. The class holds Monday to Friday, 12 noon Nigerian time, which is 1 p.m. Lesotho time. So that is where we'll be ending the class today. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you. Bye, everyone.